Now we're going to turn our focus to the Champions League, and Steve actually brought his trophy with him. Can I ask, do you usually keep it with you all the time?
In my pocket, always just in my pocket, yes.
On a key ring.
Just the key ring, the lot, the full memorabilia of the Champions League.
So you won the Champions League not once but twice with Real Madrid. Tell us about your best memories.
I mean, as you can imagine, whenever you lift this trophy, it's an incredible thing. Not many people, because of superstition, will even touch it if you haven't won it. That's what people say. So to lift it my first year of going to Real Madrid and to score in the final, you can imagine the enjoyment I had when we did that. Yes.
So the match was done, you lifted the trophy, I'm sure celebrations ensued.
Yeah, see a couple of dents in the cup there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? What was that
Yeah,
like?
I can talk about it because actually it was quite mundane. It was actually quite boring, to be very honest. And that's not like me at all. But it was my first year at Real Madrid when we won it, and we won it in Paris. And our celebrations consisted of going back to our hotel where there was a banquet laid on for about 500 people, and staff and board members, and it was quite mundane, and I couldn't get a beer, and yeah, very unlike me, to be very honest. But it was my first year at Real Madrid, so I behaved myself, and I was in bed quite early. I know. All my friends and my father and all his friends were out in Paris till the next day, didn't sleep. But I was at a banquet, which was surreal, really.
So the first leg of the last 16, what did you make of it, Steve?
I thought, well, most of the games actually are very much in the balance. They're very tight. I think there's only Manchester City, who beat Copenhagen away from home, who you would suggest would be through. Real Madrid won 1-0 away from home in Leipzig, so they're big favourites to go through. But I think the other games are all very closely marked, so it should be a very exciting second leg, to be very honest.
Arsenal lost 1-0 to Porto. Do you think they can turn it around?
Yes, I do. I think they're good enough at the Emirates. I think the first game away in Porto was difficult. They never had a shot on target, which is very unlike Arsenal, because as we mentioned, they've scored lots of goals in the Premier League. And I think with the atmosphere at the Emirates, I think Arsenal will overturn their 1-0 deficit and they will go through.
You played for Real Madrid. You know, it's a rarity for an English player to do so well abroad. Jude Bellingham is now the standout, kind of following in your footsteps a little bit. And how do you feel about that?
I think it's amazing. I speak to the people at Real Madrid often. I've got a charity football match at the stadium in a couple of weeks' time, actually. So I go over a lot to see them all, and I know they are incredibly impressed by him. Not just on the field. On the field, he's been exceptional, but off the field is the way he conducts himself, the way he's been with the fans. They are incredibly impressed, and the fact that we've got Harry Kane in the Bundesliga setting records as well. It's really nice to speak about, you know, two Englishmen being probably, arguably, the best players in Europe at this moment in time. So it's really nice to be speaking at this moment.
Bayern Munich having a few difficulties at the moment, and Barcelona, to be honest. What do you think about those two?
Yes, they do. Different difficulties for different reasons, really. First, with Bayern Munich, of course, Thomas Tuchel will leave at the end of the season. They've said that. Internal fighting with some of the powerful players. He's not really well liked by the media there, so I think that was always going to happen. And Xavi Alonso doing so well at Bayer Leverkusen, and Bayern Munich 8 points behind. You know, that causes many problems. When you're second in the Bundesliga, that's a big problem for Bayern Munich, because normally they dominate everything. Barcelona, on the other hand, I think they've treated Xavi, the manager, who will also leave at the end of the season. I think they've treated him terribly. No finances at all. You know, he couldn't pick his own players. He was given players that he didn't necessarily want. Players leaving on him because they have to be sold to balance the books. I mean, if anybody knows Spanish football, if you delve into the finances of Barcelona, it is a huge, huge problem, and it will be a huge problem going forward for the next seasons actually. So I don't know who will manage there, but whoever goes into manage is going to have a really tough time.
Who do you think is going to get to the final, and then who do you think is going to win it?
I think the best team in Europe at this moment are Manchester City. But again, they need to, you know, if Erling Haaland gets injured tomorrow and, you know, Phil Foden or Kevin De Bruyne gets injured, they'll have problems. So I think Manchester City are the best team. I think looking around Europe at all the teams, I think Real Madrid are the second best team. I think they've improved a lot. I really do. But Real Madrid have had some very serious injuries this year to a lot of their defenders. Rudiger's out. Sorry, not Rudiger. Militao ruptured his ACL. Thibaut Courtois, the goalkeeper, ruptured his ACL. David Alaba ruptured his ACL, which is unheard of. But there's talk that Courtois and Militao could be back this month, which will help Real Madrid. So I think they'll be stronger. But I think the standout team are still Manchester City. They're the team to beat.